This podcast is brought to you by Bird's Basement, the premier music dinner and supper club in Melbourne. And now, please welcome your host, entrepreneur and jazz guitarist, Albare.
You sit here. Okay. Yes, and I will sit there.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone. I start again. Welcome to Bird's Basement. It's great to have you here. And, of course, I'm very honored to have Cindy Blackman Santana with me. Welcome to the club, Cindy.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Absolutely. And, we had you opening your show last night. That went fantastic. And you've got such an incredible energy. And I've always, I've known you for a while because I brought you over when I was the artistic director of the Melbourne Jazz Festival. I brought you over in 2007, and you played at the Crown. And
Yes.
I was so impressed with your playing, but especially the energy that you exude. It's just fantastic. And I'm wondering how you do that night after night. You must have a secret.
I think I have a couple secrets. Of course, the practical things like getting enough rest and, drinking enough water and those kind of things of, taking care of yourself. But, it's also the intention of the way that I like to play music, with the velocity and the energy that I like the music to have. And so my mind is always thinking of being on that level, so it's a mindset and it becomes my way of life, and I do things, I do yoga and I do the gym and I do stretching and different things to keep my physical self, I eat as well as possible, mostly plant-based and organic and lots of juices and stuff. So those physical things that you need to do, I do as well, but it's also up here too.
And you know what I find extraordinary? The difference between this century, 2020 nearly, and let's say the 80s or the 70s, is that I would have asked the same question to probably a drummer that you would have admired a lot at the time, and the answer would have probably not be said publicly, but it was drugs. But these days, musicians, they keep it up because they eat organic food and they do yoga. And isn't that's the way the world has changed, isn't it?
It's the way it's changed, but it's also a good sign because we've learned from the past mistakes of our forefathers, our elders, the people who came before us. I think in the 40s and in the 50s, they didn't know quite what the ills of taking the drugs would do, to their bodies. They didn't know that they'd be, expiring from life at 32 or 35 or these young ages. They didn't realize that. They just went for it and did it, But we have the advantage of learning from those mistakes.
Yeah, that's true. But there is also the fact that they did know that taking those drugs would push the creativity to a new limit, whereas you push the creativity to a new limit, being in a different plane of consciousness. Isn't that right? Because
that's right.
Because we knew that even the poets forever in the French culture knew how to take drugs to actually be creative. Mm-hmm. That is a very known fact. Therefore, the jazz musicians in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, they knew that would take them to new frontiers. Yet today, musicians do that without having to take drug. Maybe they do transcendental meditation or...
You can do a lot of that. I mean, again, we will learn. We learn from the past mistakes, and we grow as well as a culture, as human beings, and so we understand that if we tap into our brains, our minds, and our hearts, we don't need to take drugs, and for me, drugs would slow me down. You know, I really seriously believe that if I took them, I'd probably be on a couch sleeping or something. You know, I wouldn't be doing that. You know,
yes,
so
as I said, your energy is extraordinary. I really mean it. So Cindy, you came to Australia with a fantastic band. One of the players, of course, that drew my attention is your bass player. Not only because of his pedigree, but he's really extraordinary. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Yes, Felix Pastorius. He's an amazing player. And, you know, I'll just get this out of the way first. Yes, he's Jaco Pastorius' son, one of his sons. And that's a really great lineage to come from. But when I first heard him play and played with him first, I had no idea who he was. I knew his name was Felix. I did not know that he was Jaco's son. And I really just loved the way that he was keying into the drums, the way that he was listening. I really dug his feel and his choice of notes. And so I was curious about playing with him. And then somebody told me, you know, what his last name was. And I was like, oh, well, it's too late. I already like him anyway, you know. So I've told him that story too, and it's just kind of funny, you know. I like him honestly, you know. I like him for who he is, and with his talent, you know, he's deserving in his own right. You know, yes, he's got a great daddy, you know, and his dad is one of my heroes, and I hear that sound. I love that sound. I've written music because of that sound, but Felix is his own person on the bass.
You guys gel so incredibly.
Yes.
That's of course, it came out very strongly last night. And of course, you've got some all of you guys play also with Carlos Santana, right?
No, none of these guys play.
None of these guys?
No. I don't know where that came from.
Where that came from? Well, the information that I got from my fact checkers that need to be kicked.
No, they don't. Well, at least they haven't as of yet. Who knows? You never know. But yeah, this is the band that I've been playing with. Pretty much this unit, you know, for a while. We've had a different bass player here and there, but basically it's been this unit for quite some time. Yeah, but they don't play with Carlos. In fact, no. And somebody asked me in an interview if we're going to play any Santana songs, and I said, well, no. And the guy said, well, why not? Aren't you the Santana band? I said, no.
No, but that's because they perhaps don't know your, we say in French, your parcours, your journey. If they knew your journey, they would not be asking something silly like that. Guys, come on. But the question I want to ask you is, how did you meet Carlos? And you obviously, everyone knows that you and Carlo are married.
Yes.
And so it would be interesting for our audience to know how you guys met.
Well, you know,
because it is Valentine's Day also.
It is
tonight.
Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And so can we tell them that Carlos is in the hotel somewhere waiting for you? Or?
That would be a lovely surprise for me, but I know that he's at home because we just spoke a little while ago. I did send him some beautiful flowers, though, and he already sent me some flowers, which are already up in my room. But we'll celebrate when I get home. But yes, we met, originally we met briefly in 2005, and I was involved, he was involved, so there was no spark or thought of anything. I was playing in Germany with Lenny Kravitz, and we played on the same festival. Santana band played, and then we played. And I was just kind of hanging out because I knew...
For our German friends in the audience, which festival was that?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't remember. It was an outside festival, I know that, but I don't remember the name of the festival. I guess I should do some fact-checking, huh? But yeah, you know, we met at this festival, and I was basically hanging out with some of the guys in the band because I knew the drummer. At that point was Dennis Chambers. So we were watching these videos of Tony Williams and just shooting the breeze, and, you know. In 2010, Carlos needed a sub for Dennis because there was a gig that Dennis couldn't make. And so he called me and asked me if I would sub for that one gig, and I said, well, of course. I'd love to play with that band. Yes, I'll do that. So I did, and the music was really fun. You know, we had a great time playing. But we hit it off, you know, in a way that was really very natural and very cool. I myself had, I don't know about him, but for me, I had stopped dating for quite a while because I was really wanting somebody in my life who was on a spiritual path, and I hadn't hung out with anybody who was on that kind of path in quite a while. And I really missed that and needed that energy in my life. And when I met him, we just really saw eye to eye spiritually. We saw eye to eye musically. And so things just really started to gel from there. And it gelled pretty quickly because 7 months later we were married.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Belated congratulations, right? That's wonderful. And then you of course started touring with him regularly, right? So you're part of the touring band.
I am now. I started. I was doing, you know, some other things initially when we first got married, and in 2014 and 15, I went back with Lenny Kravitz, and we had a really couple of fantastic years touring. But then the following year, 2016, I joined Santana. Carlos had changed his drummer, I think in 2014, and he changed to another drummer, and then he wanted to make another change. And we decided to play together. You know, he said, well, I thought about asking you, but everybody told me that a married couple can't play together. It won't work, so I didn't ask you. And I said, well, who told you that? We just have to see if we want to play together. And we both wanted to play together, so yeah, it's been working.
Any plans for the band to come to Melbourne soon?
Maybe not soon, but definitely we both love this area of the world. You know, we both love Melbourne, we love Sydney. You know, we toured here, I think, maybe 2 years ago or something like that. So we will be back, absolutely.
So next time you guys are back, you know where to come to jam, yeah?
Oh,
After
for
the
sure.
show, we're going to jam here. So that's wonderful. Now, we left two players out, and they're wonderful. That's your keyboard player and your guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yes. Aurelian, the guitar player, Aurelian Budenek, we have been playing together. He's probably the person in the band who I've been playing with the most consistently. We just hooked up really, really right away. I loved his feel. I love the fact that he's very musical, and he can do what the guitar players call all that shredding stuff. He can do all that, but he gets to it in a very musical way. He can lay back and play with the rhythm section, and he's a very energetic but thoughtful player, and I like that. You know, just a bunch of notes flying all over the place, that gives me a headache. You know, I mean, if we get to that, it's okay, but when somebody starts out that way and just doesn't stop and does that all night, I don't really want to hear that, you know. So for him, he's very musical, and I like that. And on keyboards, we have Zakai Curtis, and I met Zakai in an interesting way because I was asked to do some Volkswagen commercials, and it started out they wanted. I think me and a particular piano player who was having issues with his label. They wouldn't let him out of the contract or wouldn't let him do the shows or the commercials or whatever. So they asked me to put together a band. And I got a bass player who was the bass player that played with Lenny Kravitz with me, Jack Daly. And I called a friend of mine, Antoine Roney, and I said, you know, I need a keyboard player, I need a piano player. This is the kind of person I'm looking for. Do you know anybody? He said, yeah, I got the guy for you. So he gave me some links to Zakai's music. I checked it out, and I really liked what I heard. I called him, and he did those commercials, and we've been playing together ever since.
Fabulous. May I ask you, on your social media, you are active, how you manage? People follow you. You must have 1 million followers, or 10 millions, like Donald Trump, or something like that. Do you read Donald Trump's tweets, by the way?
Never. Never. I've never read one, nor do I ever.
You're not
plan
following
to.
him? You're not following him?
Not at all. Nor do I care to. I would never do that. No, I I don't. Do you?
I'm not on Twitter.
Okay.
Well, actually, there is an identity on Twitter that's not me. It's my EA that tweets for me, and she does it when it's in the blue moon.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know what.
So it's a pseudo you.
Yeah, it's a pseudo me.
It's a pseudo you. It's a pseudo Albert. You know, I keep up with the social media as much as I can. Mm-hmm. You know, if I'm really busy, then I have a lady who helps me, and I write out what I want to say and send her, you know, whatever information, photos or whatever that I want to post.
What are you doing
and I send it to her. Yes, and she posts it for me. But in terms of replies, I answer myself, you know, and so that's why I might not answer every day or, you know, every week. I answer when I can.
So what is your Twitter account so people here can follow you?
Twitter and Instagram and my website are all Cindy Blackman Santana. So Cindy Blackman Santana on Instagram, on Twitter, and cindyblackmansantana.com is my website.
Fantastic. Cindy, we're really looking forward to the show tonight. And guys, Cindy is here until Sunday. She's playing Friday night 2 shows and Saturday night 2 shows, and her last show is on Sunday night. So if you have not yet, I'm talking about the guys over there on Facebook, on social media world. Put the word out there. Cindy's here at Bird's Basement. Please come and see her. Cindy, thank you. I know you have your hot meal waiting for you, and we're looking forward to your show.
Yes, I do, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.